Hello and welcome to The Exchange, where winners of the European Contact Centre and Customer Service Awards are sharing their stories. Now, joining me on screen is the lovely Mary Flynn. Now, Mary has 25 years experience in operations, customer experience and strategic planning at multinational companies, including, get this, Microsoft, eBay, Netflix, Booking.com and Uber. I mean, what brilliant brands Mary has worked with. So back in September 2021, she joined IntouchCX as their Senior VP of Program Strategy. And one of the projects that she has been working on was the creation of a new contact center site in Athens. And what a fabulous location. Mary, welcome and congratulations on winning gold in Best New Contact Center.
Oh, thanks, Lee. Yeah, we're still coming down from the high of the win and the Oscars feel of the night. It was fantastic. Yeah.
And I can just imagine that you guys all went nuts, because I do remember coming to see you in Athens, and we'll talk about that in a little moment. Yeah. But I can't wait to hear all about your story. And if anybody is listening that would like to ask questions to Mary, please do put them in the event chat on the right-hand side of your screen, and I will put them to Mary once she has told us her story. So Mary, please go ahead, share your slides and tell us your story.
Indeed. Thank you so much. There we go. Can you see?
Certainly can. All yours.
Oh, great. Thank you. Yeah, so look, thank you so much. We have, as I said, been we're just coming down from the high of having won Best New Contact Center in Europe, and compliments to Lee and Jackie and the team, because the process itself was really very rigorous. It was a wonderful process. I'll talk a little bit about the process itself, and would highly recommend that anybody who feels like participating should, and all the benefits that brings. I wanted to just really leave most of the half hour open to questions that I know Lee and some others will have, but just to give a little bit of an overview of IntouchCX. We were previously 24/7 in touch, and just this January went through a big rebranding exercise. So it's amazing how quickly actually you just get used to new logos and new colors and all of that. It's a little bit of a shock at first, but our marketing team have just done a wonderful job. For those of you who aren't familiar, we have over 25,000 teammates supporting 30 languages in 25 campuses, over 10 countries. And of course, we have our global InTouch Anywhere network, thank you to the pandemic, but or precipitated or accelerated by the pandemic. We just to give you a little pictorial overview of the geography. So we're heavily invested in South America and the Caribbean, also in North America. We have locations in India, of course, in the Philippines. Our newest location, actually in Malaysia, the Greek site is no longer the newest site. And there we have our European site in Athens. So just some pictures here from the winning of the award. I mean, I can't really stress how much I was watching the Oscars the other night thinking, I know how they feel. It was really a wonderful event. I can't tell you, how the excitement, and we actually had made sure we had a number of our agents and team leads present on the night as well. So it was really, really exciting for them. Got some great snaps, and I was listening to Ronan from 3 earlier talking about his excitement and his team's excitement about the night, and yeah, we certainly feel the same way. So for IntouchCX, I think we have always had this 10 things philosophy, and through the rebrand, we actually changed some of them, kept others. This was in itself kind of controversial, because at IntouchCX, we have a very strong sense of organizational citizenship, and people were very attached to the 10 things, but there was an opportunity just to revamp some of them. And maybe I can talk a little bit about them. We know our why. I think everyone is very rooted in why we're here, why we come to work every day. We have scale and soul, so of course we want to grow. We are growing. We have been growing exponentially for years, but we want to retain that sort of secret sauce, if you like. I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but that's really what we want to retain. So it's how do you scale, but really stay, maintain the essence of the company. We like to stay one step ahead, so always working with our client partners to do better jobs, develop that skill, I think, a little bit of looking around corners. And that's a philosophy within the company that we try to empower right down to our TLs and our agents. Innovation is a really big tenet for the company, especially we've recently hired an EVP of innovation, Paula Kennedy Garcia. Some of you may know her, and she's doing amazing work with the broader teams in the area of innovation. Of course, we like to win. I'll talk a little bit about that later in relation to the awards. Lee and I were chatting earlier about the importance of participation and not just winning. We obsess about our clients, of course, our brand partners. I think we try to make sure that all of our population of teammates have a really strong sense of citizenship with the partner that they work with. We also focus, I think everyone talks about diversity. We've actually hired a director of diversity in the last 12 months. We really believe that our diversity makes us stronger, and diversity stretches to diversity of thought. How we show up differently to work, what motivates us differently, and not just the obvious diversity buckets that we hear about every day. I think the big one that you'll hear me talk about later is this well-being, it being more than just a checkbox, more than just a tick box. It's super important. Our culture of care in the company is really, it permeates. It starts at the top, and even just I noticed over the weekend a post from our CEO and founder about the importance of our culture of care and emotional intelligence. So it's really refreshing to see that continues to permeate at every level of the organization, and is a key reason, I think, really why we're so successful. Ironman had the Avengers, so this is just a little bit about the importance of teamwork and having a great team behind you, and empowering and looking after our team, because that's what makes us successful. And then finally, I think this might be one of my favorites, is you can fail, but fail fast. So we give people permission to make mistakes, but we also want people to learn quickly, move on. And we have this really cool test and learn mentality that enables us to you don't learn if you don't make mistakes. I think if I think about the question around why we were successful and potentially, why we won this award, and I think about the kind of key foundational pillars of the company. So being immersed in our clients' ecosystem. So we believe that as we work with many different brands and different types of brands across different segments, that we really, in order to be successful, we need to encourage that level of curiosity about our clients' ecosystems, about their end customers, and really believing that that's a key to success. So not just operating, agnostically of our clients' challenges. So this is really key. And having worked for several brand partners myself, coming into IntouchCX, or 24/7 InTouch as it was, really being able to kind of recognize the importance of that, and in my own role being able to encourage people to make sure that that was a priority for their teams. The people aspect of it is so crucial, so knowledgeable and empowered people. So I put in bold here about well-being and resiliency, because I really want to focus on it a little bit in the questions later when Lee and I chat, because I do think that that's our secret sauce. I think our culture of care is what makes us really successful. You know, at the end of the day, we're in the people business, and if we just pay lip service to caring about people, we're not going to be able to retain great people. They in turn won't deliver a great experience to our customers, and so the cycle continues. The third one around, you know, having these trusting and long-term client relationships. I think this is really crucial. Again, having been on the other side and being a buyer of BPO services myself in the past, I can honestly say that this is so crucially important, to have that real partnership, and have the kind of partnership where it's not really a them and us, or a you know, a client-supplier relationship, but really almost an equal relationship, very open, very honest, and where we are very committed to understanding our customers' requirements. And you can really only get that, I think, when you have a really great relationship. And it's the foundation of the success of many of the company's partnerships since the company was founded. And some of those partnerships still really strong. Innovation I referred to a little bit earlier. So I think if we're not innovating, we're not winning. We as you know, a lot of our 10 things are actually linked with each other. So the need to actually stay ahead, and be able to, as I said earlier, look around corners a little bit. So this is also an area that we focus on a lot. And look, it wouldn't be operations without talking about the strong and consistent performance. You know, we can talk about growth and innovation, but at the end of the day, we need to deliver in a consistent way and delight our customers, delight their customers, and do so by empowering the people, hiring the great people, and managing those all important KPIs. And, you know, back to the people aspect, I just wanted to highlight a little bit of, you know, it's impossible in the length of time we have to talk in any great depth about the sense of community that we have at IntouchCX, but we do have a plethora of different types of communities that people get involved in. I think the sense of community at the company is so important, especially in light of the P word, the pandemic that we've all been through, where most companies, I think, really realized the importance of developing that sense of community spirit, and how it's really a great lever to motivating and engaging the broader agent population as well. So there were just a few. I just wanted really just to give a little an overview, if you like, on the to get you back here, on the so people can get the look and feel if they're not familiar with IntouchCX, but also just an idea of our 10 things, our culture of care, and then the key pillars. Yeah.
Mary, thank you so much. And do you know, one of the things that comes through absolutely loud and clear is how much you value the people that work in the customer contact operation. I love your culture of care, and I do want to ask you a little bit more about that, because we met when I was observing the judging back in the autumn. I came to see you at your site in Athens. I wasn't a judge. I wasn't judging. I was observing the process, and I recall that when we turned up, I recall you saying we only opened this new site like 24 hours earlier, and yet it still had already a really lovely atmosphere. And I know that the judges spoke to some of your team, and they were saying how lovely it was being back in the office. What's it like now? And that's what, 5-6 months on.
Yeah, actually, I'm not long back, just visited there. And yeah, it's getting, we had to rebrand everything since you were there, of course, because of our rebrand.
Great new brand.
Funny, yeah. So yeah, look, we've managed to brand actually according to the various clients that we have. We've done lots of branding. So the site looks just like, yeah, really beautiful, actually. And it's much livelier. We've got more people on site now. Of course, we still have a very significant hybrid model and a work from home model, because many of our clients actually, some of them actually mandate that, just because that's how we started with the hiring. And that's a whole other conversation. We can have another time about hybrid and work from home. But I think what's really important is, yes, we just opened our physical site, and you alluded earlier to, my role, but actually the site was set up, or the operation was set up, 18 months before I even joined IntouchCX, by the amazing leadership team, Alexia, Martina, Nikos, Chrysanthi, all on the ground in Athens. And, I think winning this award was so special to the team, because they had set up the operation right at the beginning of COVID. So you can imagine being hired, like Alexia was, as the country manager for Greece, heading over to our HQ to get inducted, to meet with the team, meet with the leadership team, and barely making it back because flights were being cancelled. So we had our partner, of course, on board, or we're beginning to onboard our partner. So we had to do all of our hiring and essentially set up the entire operation, knowing that we wouldn't have a physical site. And at the time, I suppose what was really doubly, looking back, of course, and as I say, we all have PhDs in hindsight, we didn't know how long it was going to last. So the team was pivoting and having just to grow these partners that we had, doing it all remotely and not having the benefit of the physical site. So quite a unique challenge, I think, from other operations. Also, everyone, of course, was in the same position, but they had a different challenge because they were putting people to work from home, and that's how we started. So in one way, it was, I suppose, difficult in one way, but highly advantageous in another. And just from speaking to Alexia, Martina, and the team, and asking them, what was it like in those early days when you were trying to evangelize and advocate for this culture of care and this people first approach in completely a virtual environment? Also, when people were getting sick, when there were no vaccines, and when there was a lot of fear at the time. So really amazing challenge. And I would say that this is where the culture of care and the people first approach, it wasn't like 24/7 In Touch didn't have to really make an adjustment, because that was already in their DNA. So for us, I think it was a lot easier. And since then, actually, the company has invested in a wellbeing and resilience department. We have an SVP of wellness and resilience, an amazing colleague, Chris Harrison. We've hired a diversity and inclusion director as well. We've really put huge weight behind the whole culture of care. And as I said just at the weekend, seeing from our CEO and founder, again, reiterating the idea of emotional intelligence, why it's important. And, I've been in this business longer than I care to admit, but it's a people business. We are a people business. Regardless of AI, of innovation, of tech, this is a people business. And it's a hard job. As I always say, nobody, and I'm sure lots of people on the call can attest to this, nobody calls us up to tell us we're doing an amazing job. Everyone calls with a problem, with an issue. And over time, that can be difficult for teammates who are on the front line. So therefore, it behoves us to make sure that we're constantly checking in, that we're also actually hiring with this in mind, that we're hiring not just for the technical skills or for the academic skills that we need, but for the soft skills, that we're hiring for empathy, and that employees know that it is expected of them that they are kind and that they are empathetic to their colleagues as well as to the customers that they speak to. And I think, one of the things I noticed just from being on site the last time was, and I think this is really a testament to the leadership there, of just finding the right people and having that be the sort of number one criteria to success. It's almost like you feel if we have the right people, we can do anything, because we are a very input-led company. we strongly believe that if you focus on the inputs, so the great ingredients, that the outputs will by default be good. But I just noticed when I was visiting the site that asking people, how are you doing? And asking them how they were, but oftentimes they don't talk about themselves. They talk about some awful returns process for a particular client, or the fact that they don't have access to this tool. And you think, wow, we really need to teach people that actually when we ask this question, we really mean, how are you? How are you feeling? How are you doing? Are you looking after yourself? Have you got any feedback for us? Like we because they are so dedicated to their roles that, and maybe they're not used to being asked at other employers or at other companies. Maybe they're not used to being asked and it meaning, how are you doing? Not, is your laptop working, or are you, have you got, even though those things are important as well. But I think it's and also to give people permission to, that it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to ask for, and that it becomes the norm that people talk about their mental health, about their mood, about how they're feeling. Sorry, that was a long answer.
But everything you said there is so important, and it's so important in customer contact, as you say, because everybody that calls is not calling to tell you how brilliant you are. They are calling because they've got an issue, they've got a problem, and you've got to try and resolve it. But everything you said there, you obviously were involved in the setup of the new contact center. How did you look for and find the people that have the same beliefs as you, and their beliefs, that clearly you were recruited because you have those beliefs, because that's what the head office also believe. So how do you go about? And it's great when you're a new contact center operation and you can recruit from scratch. That's all great, but how do you find people that really can deliver on that culture of care?
I mean, I really would have to give credit to the recruitment team in Athens. They're very good at asking the right questions. We do competency-based interviewing, but also, the what if, or what would you do in such a scenario. And when you keep it local, I talk about being global. So we have global processes and we have global guidelines, but really when it comes to recruitment locally, and bearing in mind a lot of it is being done virtually as well, I think you develop a sixth sense that and also when you have a great team and you know what good looks like, and you want to replicate that without ending up with one big homogenous group of people with the same personality, that's also a challenge. But, I really think that they're just really, because they know that this is important and they know what to test for. So I know myself, I've hired some of the leadership there, and I also, I think I can sense when, for people, that they understand and when their values are aligned to our own. And also, the generation of talent that's coming onto the marketplace now, they expect this culture of care. They're more evolved than I was when I was looking for my first job 30 years ago. I was, you're looking for more than a desk and a computer and a pay packet at the end of the month. It's so much more evolved. So there's actually an expectation. And because we have that reputation, people expect it. So we therefore, I think, attract people whose values are more aligned to our own. And honestly, just in terms of remuneration and benefits, we try to be very, very competitive, because otherwise it's harder to attract really great people. And we're obviously doing something right, because the team there, and just right through from operations through to L&D, our engagement and retention team globally, we have had such low attrition on that site. It's kind of, a lot of it I understand is linked to the work from home, and most companies or organizations similar to our own are having the same experiences. But not managing those high levels of attrition is hugely beneficial for us as a company as well.
Oh, definitely, and I'd love to know a little bit more around how business is going, because obviously relatively new into into the European space. But before I do that, some new contact center operations start with nothing. You know, that it's a brand new building, brand new site, brand new absolutely everything, and they have to build out their tech, their people strategy, their customer journeys. They are literally starting from scratch. Now, you were fortunate enough that you were able to draw on some of that from head office,
Yeah.
and I'm sure that there are huge benefits to that,
Yeah.
but also some downfalls because you being told this is what you're using. What were you glad that you had, and what do you wish that you could have built up from scratch?
Glad that we had was just all of the cross-functional support, everything, as you say, from IT. Well, first of all, just the company culture. It's a global company. Also, it's not their, first rodeo in terms of going out of North America or being global. So thankfully, the company, the leadership is really attuned to localization or local differences as well. I think would have been amazing to get into our building a little bit faster, because I think with not having um, you know ironically, when we started operations and it was very, three really solid clients and growing, and they're just functioning, and the fact that you don't have a physical site kind of doesn't matter to them. But for us, I think locally, we did eventually set up a temporary office just to have somewhere for the leadership to go. And I think maybe we would have done that a little bit sooner. That might be the only thing. But we had all the local leadership on site, which has been the reason why we're so successful. I mean, just because they know the market, and having found local people to manage the operation, and recruit the people, and obviously do all of the other ancillary activities is really important.
No, absolutely. And so, what advice would you give to anyone that is looking to set up a new contact center in a new location? Where do you start? How, why did you land on Athens? What did you need to get that up and running?
Yeah, I mean, I think it really helps to have great client partners who want to partner on the journey with you. I think that gives great momentum. And now it's been proven, because of the way we've all had to work virtually, that it can be done. Like, who would have thought, if someone had told me 5 years ago that we would be faced with these operational challenges, but that it would be okay. And actually, in some cases, we have partners who mandate us to work from home because performance has been even better. And because attrition attrition can affect certain programs and certain client partners in different ways. And especially for complex programs. So that's been really interesting. I would say just be brave, find great client partners to start with, and test and learn. Don't seek perfection, because I think what they say, perfection is the enemy of good. Because without that kind of bravery and that test and learn mentality, we wouldn't be as far on as we are. But really, the leadership and our partners, because we also are so lucky that we have partners also on that site, but generally globally, who also believe in our philosophy about people and in our culture of care, and they support it. They don't see it as some kind of fluffy extra. It's core to their being as well. And like I said, because actually employees expect it, and most highly evolved companies also they expect it. It's not, but I do think it's one of our big differentiators. Yeah.
And I love the fact that you call your clients partners. And that's one of the things that we're trying to promote in the CCMA in the UK, is that the relationship between an outsourcer and their client is a partnership. That's where the strength comes from.
Absolutely. And I'm a big advocate. I always have been in my career, big advocate of not using terms like, overflow, outsourcing. Even, I mean, the term outsourcing in and of itself is a great term. I work in the outsourcing space, but language is very important. And the language and the narrative that we choose to use itself is part of our culture. So yeah, I think it's really important. Yeah.
And how is business?
Great, really busy, really busy. I just got back off a couple of weeks vacation, and yeah, the weather is not what it was where I came from here in Amsterdam. So trying to put the head down and write lists and tick things off and wade through the email, etc. But it's really, really good. Yeah, we've a lot of momentum at the moment, so it's exciting.
Oh, do you know what? Before you go, I want to ask you, you talked about it in your presentation just now about participating in these awards.
Yeah.
And you know, we don't often talk, we often talk about the night, how does it feel on the night to win? But just going back right to the beginning, why did you enter the awards in the first place? And going through those steps, the putting together the first
Yeah.
nomination, and then and welcoming the judges into your site, and then, you know, turning up on the night, fingers crossed. That whole process, what was that like for you guys? And as I say, why did you enter in the first place?
Well, I had entered the awards in a previous life, as they say, and I understood and knew the benefit of it. Also was a big winner actually in the time that we had entered, but it wasn't for that. It was, the process is incredible. So it's this particular, it's really quite rigorous. It's a lot of work, but you know what it does? It brings people together. It enables you and kind of fosters that, and it helps you with your team to sit around and talk about the things you do well, the things that you need to improve on, in a different kind of context than the normal business context. It's hugely motivating. Like, I cannot tell you, if we could bucket the motivation and the sense of validation that comes from just participating, getting shortlisted, because we were shortlisted in several other categories. And I don't even think so much about the one that we won. I think about all the others as well, because bringing those teams together globally, and our global teams even said to us, wow, this is such, I remember Chris Harrison saying to me, this is such a great process, because actually, wow, it makes me realize how much we've achieved. So, you know, it was just, it's so rewarding. I would encourage anybody to go through the process, because you will learn things about yourself, about your team, about the work that you do, about your partners, your customers. And it's just so rewarding, because it's rigorous, but it's really, that shouldn't put people off, because it's just, it also gives you a great sense of satisfaction, because you know that you've been shortlisted or participated in something really, truly worthwhile. And then the actual night, the event itself, and just being in the presence of all those amazing other companies and people, and yay for customer service. You know, I think years ago when I started working in the business, we were what I call the redheaded stepchild of the operation. I can say that because I read her myself, but no, it's not. We're close to the customers. We add so much value to our brand partners and to end customers that it's just such a rewarding business to work in. So thank you for putting something in place that validates everything that we do. Is great.
Oh, do you know what, Mary? I could talk to you all afternoon. Thank you so much for
Thanks.
being here, for participating and going through that experience. You know,
Yeah.
the X's, yeah, you know, many people talk about, you know, it's like winning an Oscar at the end of the night and all that kind of stuff, which it is. But
Yeah.
actually, there's a huge amount of value of participating and reflecting and
Yeah.
really recognizing
Yeah.
what you've achieved, and almost one of the things that I say is, you know, just being nominated means that someone has said you've done something amazing. I think
Exactly.
I want to recognise you. I think you could be an award winner. I
Yeah.
think is just huge, huge value.
Exactly. Yeah, it is for sure. And I think something about physically getting together as well, after everything that we'd all been through, there was that little bit of extra, yay, people, party.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, hey, Mary, thank you so much
Thanks,
for
Lee.
joining
Thank
me
you so
today,
much.
and all the advice and the experiences that you've shared. And I can't wait to see what happens next, both for IntouchCX and also what you're
Yes.
going to be doing with them, and seeing where that goes. So thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Lee. Take care. Thanks, everyone.